Hey everybody, it's Alexander Dahl with Manifest Brutality once again. So I have yet another interview. We're getting pretty close to kind of wrapping up wave two. There's a few more to go, so as I keep rolling them out, we'll keep doing that. And so we'll just go ahead and get into this interview, and we'll just keep rolling them out until wave two has been published. All right, here you go. All right, so I'm currently on the phone with Mark. He's one of the musicians that reached out to me about the current interview series. So I'm going to go ahead and give him the chance to introduce himself.
Yeah, hello. My name is Mark Boblik. I am the vocalist and guitar player in the band Pure Substance from Minneapolis. So I'm excited to be here on the phone talking to Alex today for podcast.
Awesome. So go into some detail about how you kind of first identified with music. What was it about music that kind of really made you realize that you needed to have that in your life?
Sure. Yeah. It's actually something my oldest sister pushed me into. In middle school, my first kind of taste of music, I guess, was in a choir room. Um, So it was okay at first. I didn't know what to think about it. But as the years grew on, I think it kind of grew on me. Just kind of learning the language of music, seeing, kind of the power it had. And when I was 13, I got my first guitar. And that was awesome. Never had any lessons, but just kind of made a racket for for years until it kind of started getting a little more serious. And um, when I got into guitar playing, I had started learning a lot of history, especially like some rock and roll history, and just kind of learning the the driving force behind some of that stuff was
Mhm.
like pretty powerful to me. Just seeing, just like music literally moves people, like makes people dance, and to me that was a really powerful thing.
Sure. So you mentioned that you started playing guitar at about 13. Were you involved in any sort of like concert band or anything in school, or did you pick it up outside of school?
Nope, that was all lone wolf kind of thing. I wasn't in band at school. But I was very very fortunate to link up with my friend Andrew Nystrom, who's currently my drummer in my band and still a good friend of mine. Um, so you know, getting together with him was, I think, a huge, a very valuable experience for me, just because it, for lack of a better word, he was my metronome.
Hmm.
In those days, I guess I didn't have the discipline to play with one, but you know, that was my first kind of taste of playing with other musicians, which I think was a very very key step in guitar and music.
Sure. So once you guys kind of figured out that you were going to work well musically together, where did you kind of figure your next steps would be? Did you start looking for like other musicians to play with, or did you kind of just, the two of you kind of write some songs for a while?
Uh, we did. We actually there was a fundraiser at my middle school that we got a band together for, and that was sort of my first taste. Or I guess both of our first tastes of like being on the stage and playing original music, which was cool. It was a terrible, terrible song, but it was a song nonetheless, and I think it was a valuable experience to do what we did and just look for a couple other guys that were interested in making the same kind of racket we were, and see if we could put something together.
Sure. And so once you kind of got out of school, how did you kind of progress that? Did you kind of idealize what you wanted your band lineup to be and then start going for that? Or what sort of avenue did you want to take in like trying to put music together?
Sure, yeah, and I guess for me, at the very bottom of it, I just really love making music with people. I think a lot of musicians will wholeheartedly agree with me on that. It's just they're pretty indescribable, just making music with other people, and I think a lot of people like to sort of live vicariously through that in live music, and it's why people like to go and see live shows. But yeah, after school, I actually Was fortunate enough to be mentored by Jeremy Bartelt, who used to work at IPR in Minneapolis,
Okay.
and he kind of got me into the music production side of things. So on top of trying to grow as a musician too, I started to get into production technique and recording techniques as well, and I found that very very interesting because I just love knowing how things are created
Mhm.
and all the wonderful studio techniques that have been pulled off throughout the years.
Sure, definitely. So you are doing your own independent recordings of your guys' work?
That is correct. Yep, I produce and record all of my band's work at the moment, um, which is it's worked for us.
Hmm.
I think it helps us stay in a creative bubble.
Right, definitely.
Um,
Since having your own home recording studio is, relatively inexpensive these days, it makes perfect sense to do it, and you still can get some good quality product out of it.
Absolutely, and so that's something I'm always trying to grow at is the music side as well as the production side.
Hmm. So, what would you say are some of the pivotal moments that have happened between you and your drummer? It sounds like you and him have been working together for a long time. What kind of conversations have occurred between the two of you to kind of decide the direction of your band?
Um, I guess historically we just let the music do most of the talking, but um, it's something we've always I think both wanted to pursue. He was in drumline in high school, and I was in choir, so I think music was something that was very ingrained in both of us. And as the years went on, I think we just kind of we toyed with the idea for a long time, and then we decided to actually do it for real. And actually, one of our other buddies from high school moved back home, and he's a phenomenal guitarist, Matt DeRozier. He plays with us in Pure Substance,
Hmm.
and so when he got home, the three of us kind of got together just for a casual jam session, and the first jam session we all had together was just pretty electric, and I think that's when it kind of sparked our idea, like maybe we should, go a little bit more serious with this thing. I think we can, put out some killer stuff if we really
Hmm.
put our minds to it.
Sure. And so, what were is your kind of active gigging efforts like prior to the virus?
Yeah, almost forget what that feels like, but uh, yeah, we were just trying to, plug into the local scene. We we started out in 2018.
Hmm.
Um, the first gig I think was at Finnegan's in Minneapolis, Missouri, and yeah, we just trying to get in whenever we can and just kind of rock out our own little brand of jam music
Hmm.
and hopefully we make some connections with people. Played at the Acadia a few times. Played at the Block Brewing.
Sure.
Uh, the Poorhouse was a good show as well.
So, what would you kind of say are some of the more memorable things that have happened to you around music, whether it be a venue you went to, a band you saw, or a show you played, like something, a couple events that really kind of have stuck out to you and inspired the way that you approach music.
Ugh, This, I think anytime that we've played a show around here, anytime anybody comes up to me after the show, and even just a simple like, "Hey, you guys were awesome tonight." It's that kind of stuff that I think really really keeps me going, and knowing that we actually made a connection with somebody.
Well, so what would you kind of say are some of your inspirations for the style of music you write?
Sure, I look to guys that are have sort of been on both sides of the glass, as I say. Like Jimmy Page is a huge influence for me because he did a lot of the behind the scenes work with the band as well as with the music as well. So someone like him I look up to a lot. Um, like Jack White and a lot of these guys that are producing their own stuff is
Mhm.
they're the kind of guys that I look at, I guess, nowadays.
Okay. And so what kind of draws you to that sort of musician is their duality, their ability to record and produce.
Yeah, I think I think it really, with that kind of music, when the band is heavily involved with the production, I think it helps them voice their sound a little bit better. I guess that's my personal opinion, but I guess that's where my head kind of goes for that.
Sure. So when you guys are looking at like releasing the material that you develop, do you lean towards more of the traditional album every few years kind of thing, or do you lean more towards the like consistent single releases?
Yeah, we dropped an EP in 2018. Was 7 tracks. Um, But we have been actually talking about that a lot lately, and how we want to approach the music industry going forward. Because
Hmm.
it's a very very single driven market nowadays.
Hmm.
But something that has always been a personal goal of mine is just to make a killer record. And so we're trying to strike that balance, and we're toying with the idea of maybe going in to make a record. And it's going to be a boring winter for us. So we're gonna we're probably gonna have to hunker down, and we'd like to get some stuff out.
Sure, sure. So along those lines, you mentioned that you do like the idea of putting out a full record, and I kind of tend to lean towards that as well. Do you like to do more of like kind of the artistic concept based sort of album, or do you kind of like just filling it out with a bunch of songs that, can kind of fit whatever vibe they need to?
I'm absolutely a junkie for a concept album,
Hmm.
um, but those tend to be, I think those they're harder to execute in production terms. But I think what we're leaning towards is probably going to be a little bit of both. I think some of the album is going to kind of flow together, is my hope.
Hmm.
But then we might have some tracks that might kind of be a little more standalone. Just I think, and part of that I think is just between the four of us, we just have such a wide array of musical influences, um, which I think is a wonderful thing. But it also it gives us a lot of room to work with, but we have to find a direction with it sometimes, I guess. I
Sure.
just love so many different things. But
Well, so on that note, you guys are looking at getting into the album or the studio this winter to put something out. What are some websites or anywhere people can go and listen to some of your stuff?
sure, yeah, we are on a bunch of streaming platforms. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Music. I believe we're on YouTube Music, and Amazon Music as well. And the band name is Pure Substance. We also have a Facebook page. We got an Instagram page. Instagram handle is Pure Substance Music. Yeah, go check it out. Really stuff back in 2018. We're looking to drop some fresh stuff as well in the coming time here.
Sure. And so, what I like to do is I like to give the person that I'm interviewing the last word. So, essentially, just like a message that you kind of feel resonates with you that you want to put out there.
Sure. Yeah. I think that one of the most powerful things that I know is music, because it has the power to move people physically, emotionally, and it's something that I think it's a power, and I hope to use that power for good, and bring some positivity into the world with it.